So I usually start off anything with, hey everybody, it's Ralphie G from Impressed LLC in Hanson, Massachusetts. But I'm going to tell you that I'm Ralph Greenberg, first of all, and I'm proud to be here in front of you all. My Canna family is what I'll call you all, and I'm really grateful for the Bellows to give me this opportunity to be on a real stage and not just on a Facebook or a computer screen. So thank you so much to the Flower Expo for having me. I'd like to introduce the panels. Alex, I'd like to introduce yourselves if you don't mind. Sure. Alex, would you start off, please?
Hi, I'm Alex Mazin, founder and CEO of Bud's Goods and Provisions. We have 3 retail operations here in the state of Massachusetts and really pride ourselves of being a New England cannabis retailer.
Hi, I'm Meg Sanders, CEO of CannaProvisions, also Smash Hits Cannabis, which is our wholesale brand. We have 2 stores here in Massachusetts, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Brown. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Coast Cannabis. We are the first independent product manufacturer here in Massachusetts. We're very proud to be woman-owned and family-operated, and I'm very thankful to be asked to be part of this panel today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Hurley, the founder of Greencare Collective. We have a 100,000 square foot vertically integrated facility in Millbury, and also a store within a store and Fenway Park that's opening soon with the New Dia partnership.
Why don't you hold that one and I'll have this microphone until we ask questions afterwards. Okay. And I'm your moderator, Ralph Greenberg, owner-operator, founder, co-founder of Impressed LLC, small craft cannabis business in Hanson, Massachusetts, and we're proud to be able to serve you all with some really good flower. So thanks for having us. Welcome to the Flower Expo, session number 1. This session is Surviving and Thriving in the Massachusetts Cannabis Retail Market, Overcoming Challenges and Building a Successful Business. And we couldn't have any much better panelists here to have shown us how they successfully built their brands and their facilities and their businesses. So I'd like to start off with the first question, if you don't mind. It's going to go to Alex. What are some of the challenges that entrepreneurs face when entering the Massachusetts cannabis retail market, and what strategies they employ to overcome them and build a successful business?
So I think it's a really large advantage to be getting into a market when it's early. Consumers don't have a place to go, and so they start building their loyalty with their dispensaries that launched, 2017, 2018, 2019. I do think it would be a significant challenge for a new retailer entering the market, albeit if it's a great location, the chances of them growing over time is very significant. And so I think the first key to success in retail is location. And then the second is parking. And then from there it's price and then experience. I think that's how consumers are shopping, or the reason they go to a certain store. And so what we've learned is it's incredibly difficult to convince customers to leave their dispensaries and come to our dispensaries. That's really a challenge. You okay back there? It takes time. It's sort of, everyone is loyal to, a great majority of customers are loyal to their dispensary. Yes, there are those that are price comparing and going to wherever the cheapest flower is, but I think it's really important to think about your customer as a subscriber. They've subscribed to your establishment. I think the other piece of success for retailers, if they're coming into this market, is don't inherently think about it as retail. I think when I think about retail, I think about, will this customer make a purchase? If anyone walks into a Bud's Goods store and they don't make a purchase, we question that, unless they came with somebody. And so I think you really need to start understanding, A, you're not going to have a $25 million retail store in 3 months. Those days are over. B, fight for each and every customer because they're subscribers. And then C, understand your demographic as well as possible. When I think about retail, the analogy I compare it to is a grocery store. Grocery stores are different in the communities that they belong to, right? There's no Whole Foods in Worcester. There's a reason for that, right? There are other stores, grocery stores, right? And so you have to really make sure you're catering your dispensary price point and offering to align with the market in which you're located in. But for a new retailer, I think unless you're thinking you have a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks, CVS, Bank of America type of location that's very visible, great signage, you know, I wouldn't just jump in to compete, because the truth is that as a retailer, because of 280E taxation, as a freestanding retailer, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to succeed. I think, in my mind, a store needs to do at least, you know, $4.5 million just to keep the lights on, because of all the costs. And by the way, that number doesn't include paying back your investors. It's just to keep the lights on. And so, okay, how many stores are doing more than that? About 70% of stores in Massachusetts do less than that. So, you know, that's a concern. If you're trying to get into retail, my advice would be not to go the traditional way of trying to win a license, but be patient and maybe look at something through an M&A transaction, maybe easier. Could pick up a business with some kind of revenue, but you can't just have a license. Those days are truly over. You have to really grind every day at your retail and claw at it like it's a mom and pop business, and then ask your customers what they need, follow the market, do all those things. So if I was a new retailer, I'd be a little worried, but if you have those key things, I think you can make it.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex, very much for that. So, Meg, we've got a question for you now. How has the evolving regulatory landscape impacted the Massachusetts cannabis retail market? And what steps can businesses take to navigate these challenges effectively?
Let me start with this. Our regulatory body, for the most part, is okay. But we have a significant issue with our investigative arm of our regulators. And it comes up at every roundtable I can attend. I've spoken to pretty much every commissioner, next one is next week, and told them the horror stories of what's going on with investigators and how they treat inspections. And it is not okay with me. I am very vocal about it. I'm surprised I'm sure I'll get in trouble for this too, so hi, it's me again. But I'm somebody, I've been doing this since 2009. I've worked through many regulatory bodies, and I have to tell you, the investigative arm of this particular entity is the most challenging and honestly the most punitive I've ever met. And point blank, I've been told, I don't care about the business. I don't even know, but I don't care what it takes. I'm not interested in knowing about the business. I just want you to make sure that every line on your visitor log is filled out. And if that's not happening, then you must be doing everything else wrong. And I'm here to tell you, don't just let them walk all over you. Push back hard. By definition, our investigators are required to have 10 years of law enforcement. So you know exactly who you're dealing with. You know exactly who's walking in the door. And this cop, perp mentality has to stop. We are partners. We are their customer. We pay for them. And we should be much more in balance like alcohol is here in Massachusetts. It should be a lot simpler. And there should be time to cure. There should be ways that you can work through problems. We've had something come up in an inspection, and we fixed it right in front of them, and we still get an NOD. And I could wallpaper my house with NODs. And first of all, in this competitive market, every one you get costs a ton of money. How many man hours? From our compliance staff to our legal to me or Eric overseeing it, making sure that, and then responding back and forth when they reject it. It's just a real challenge. And I'm telling you this because you need to be aware prior to entering this market that this is the landscape we live in, and it's painful and it's hard. So that's the first part. The other part about regulatory matters with regards to cannabis is, in my opinion, they should have as little impact on business operations as possible. coming in and spending 5 hours doing an inspection in a business that only has a handful of people to operate the store is not business friendly. So how am I supposed to pay my fees, pay my licensing fees, pay my taxes if I can't serve my customers at the same time? So I'm here to tell you that it's important that you know the rules very, very well, that you push back when they are citing something that's not correct. Obviously, always be professional, respectful, and thoughtful and kind, but stand up for yourselves. And if we all stand up, trust me, this gets better. But if only some of us stand up, it doesn't. So please join me, link arms with me, and let's just make the system better. Let's make it work in a more thoughtful way. I think overall, very few people budget properly for inspections, budget properly for this entire agency that can just come in and do whatever they want willy-nilly, and that's a big problem. And payroll dollars are real, 280E is real, and kind of along with what you were saying, Alex, our number is actually 6.5 million, and if you're not doing 6.5 million, good luck. Just seriously, don't waste another, that's just good money going after bad. It's $6.5 million, that's our opinion, and that's break even. That is no cash flow. That's like you have this much cash flow to deal with any emergencies or that kind of thing. So I think that we need to get more involved with regulatory. I want to see more open conversations. I want to see more public opportunities for public speaking, not when they're just doing regulatory stuff. I want to see work groups that include all of us, not people that are not even in the industry and aren't stakeholders in the industry working on work groups. It's crap. We are the ones who are feeling the pain. We are the ones that are paying the bills. We are the ones that are dealing with all of the different aspects of this crazy business. So I really encourage you guys to join a group. CBA is a great group. I can tell you I'm really big fans. There's many members here. They're doing good work, and we get in front of inspectors, in front of the commission all the time. So it's really, and the executive director too, by the way. Totally reasonable human being, really reasonable man. So I really encourage you to get involved. Cannabis does not happen in a vacuum. It happens out there in the world, talking to people like the Cannabis Control Commission, talking to city councilor, talking to your legislative body. This is how things are changed. At the end of the day, I'm not going to sleep until the CCC answers to somebody. And right now, they do not answer to anyone. So that is my life's goal. I'm 56 years old, so I better get on it.
Very good, Meg. Thank you for that. Awesome. Angela, you're next.
I thought I was 4. Sorry.
I'm going to give you 4, but you're in the 3rd chair.
Great.
You ready?
Speak earlier.
Angela, can you share some real-life examples of businesses that have successfully overcome challenges in the Massachusetts cannabis retail market and achieved long-term success? It's a two-parter, but you...
Yes. Well, first, thanks for giving me a question where we can speak positively, because as you've heard, it is a tough industry, but it's not one we want to really discourage you from. It is these baselines that we're learning here. But a couple of things that have been said. One, I can point to those alongside my panel as some of the best leaders here in the state. And from not having a retail, I'm looking at things from the outside in, and things I feel I have witnessed that are common trends and our best partners and in the best performing stores in Massachusetts is that, one, ownership is present. It is their business, it is your baby, and if you treat it like that and you nurture it, it will grow. It's not to say that's the only thing you need to do. You can show up every day and not be successful, but that's what I feel you see is the ownership is very bought in. They work in the business every day. And you really see that from day one, there is this authentic vibe to who they are that they have built. And it's not to say your brand is developed day one. It takes time. There's iterations. There's paths you go down. But if you can build a core and keep building upon that, that's going to help your brand become more successful. Because as you've heard, a standalone retail is tough, but if you build a brand alongside of that, a place people want to go, right? Cheers. It was a bar, but you want to go there because they knew your name. So you go to a store where they know you, where you feel comfortable. Those are some things I feel like I've witnessed. And another large thing is being part of the community. Because I think the stores that are part of their community are absolutely thriving. The community is showing up to support them. They're showing up to support the community. And in return, they are having success. And that's why a lot of us started these companies, right? It's the cannabis community, to build the community, to be that first. So those are really a couple of things. I think obviously it also comes down to product. When you see stores that are filled with, not the best product, or they're really only going after one shopper, it really sets that tone. So I think another thing has just been building the retail model to be just that. When someone walks into a store, whether you're selling cannabis or you're popping into something else, there are different price points for different shoppers. There are different package sizes for people who might be visiting in town or someone who is a longtime consumer every day. So I think when you see these stores lean in to say, what does a retail model look like? What does the consumer look like? And actually serve that consumer, that's where I feel that I'm seeing success amongst the stores. And it's very easy to see the lack of success happening in the stores that aren't honing in on those. And it's apparent from day one. And as a brand, it gives us a lot of concern when we're launching into some of these stores if they don't seem like they have a strong foundation, because it is very competitive. As you've heard, the numbers that you have to hit, the minimums are huge. So it is very concerning that a lot of these stores are opening without those key pillars or foundation, and it's going to be very challenging for them to remain open and to furthermore even become successful. So be present and be part of what you're building, or don't build it. It will be way too expensive to build something you're not going to be part of, in my opinion.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Brian, what do you take into consideration when developing a product for the retail cannabis market? How does quality, value, and shelf appeal play into that?
The last 5 years, we've just gotten so many new brands that have hit in the marketplace. We built out a house of brands from day one, so we have about a dozen brands that are either in state or out of state. So we're Cookies, major manufacturer here now in the state, as well as we carry a very well-known Washington-based company called House of Cultivar. And then in our own suite of products, we have about 8 to 10 other brands. And really what we do when we create a brand is take a look at demographics. To go back to what Alex said, retailers are not going to be successful with some of our products that other ones would be. So our top tier products, we do not push on clients that don't have that sell-through, because we don't want our products to sit on the shelves and make that brand look bad, and we don't want them to have stale inventory. To speak to like the alcohol business, if you look at the sellers and buyers in that industry, they go into that bar once a week and they say, what's sitting? Let's replace it with something else that's not, because the bar down the street really does well with Casamigos and you guys aren't, so I don't want it to sit here. We need to really be doing more of that, so my sales team really kind of dives into where their clients are buying in those specific retails and only try and push a menu to them that we think is going to have a really high velocity. Because that's the name of the game is turns. If you don't have high velocity, you're sitting on inventory, you don't have cash flow, and going back to not only that big number, $5-6 million to just break even, it's really cash flow. This is a cash flow, business now, and a lot of people are struggling. We see a lot of extended terms being offered out there. Like I said, when we create brands, we want that story to resonate with that buyer. So if I'm going to, charge $50 or want the MSRP to be $50 on one of our 8s, you better believe that packaging is going to be spot on. We're going to go with gold leaf or, a bamboo jar or something really high end, because consumers do buy with their eyes. But then you got to back it up with the quality inside the packaging as well. If it's going to be a value brand, maybe a $20 8th MSRP, you don't have to have as much of an in-depth story. I mean, it's going to, you want that product to be a differentiator. So, there is a lot of cheaper product that is cheap for a reason. So if you're going to participate in creating brands, really point to the demographic of the retail that you're looking at. If you're in a spot like Boston where we know we can fetch higher prices, you want that menu to be reflective. If you're in an area that those products aren't going to sell well, don't try. I mean, the packaging looks great. And a lot of our buyers that are in areas that don't have, clientele that's willing to spend top dollar love, our Bonsai brand, for instance, which is, this bamboo jar. It's a really, really nice packaging, great look and feel. But, our sales team will just say, look, I just don't think this will work for you. Maybe I'll send you a case and see how it does. But we really think that it's important to know the demographics of the retail that you're trying to look at. And there is going to be a lot of consolidation. So going back to what the panel said, if you can wait it out, there's going to be a lot of great deals and opportunities from people that might not have operated some of these retailers the way that they should have been.
Thank you for that, Brian. So as an independent cultivator, it's a small team here at Impressed LLC. I'll just give you half a story. We understand the pain that everybody goes through in this industry based on prices and, type of inventory that you want to carry. So what we all want to do is just do right by doing good here in this industry. I'm proud of you all for wanting to be in the industry, or if you're in the industry, it's a road to lead, and it's a successful road. It's not all about money. It's about giving the product to the people that need it. Of course, there is a cost of goods and a return on investment we all have to look at, but I'm appreciative of this opportunity to be able to be in this market, to share something that I love. And I know that my fellow panelists also love the product, and we're in it for the love of the product and the love of you all to know that if you love what we do, we're appreciative, first of all, but we'll always do right by doing good. Consistency and quality in this industry has to always be there for you, because patients and consumers always want something that they can always depend on. And I know that we share that goal in mind. So I'd like to have some questions from the audience. If anybody has any questions for anybody, does anybody have any questions? Who would like to have a question? We love you too.
I'll add something too. What we're really trying to do, the marketplaces already exists. So there was a recent study. I'll try to find it and push it out and see if it can get circulated. So they did a nationwide study on basically conversion from the black market. Massachusetts is still one of the worst. So we've converted about 18% of the black market in terms of what they expect the total marketplace to be here. The number one state that's done the best is Washington. They've still only converted 41%. So the best state in the country has only converted 41% of the black market sales. So we have a long way to go. If we could double the marketplace here in Massachusetts, everybody on this panel will be in a much, much better position. So going back to brands and operators, hopefully we'll see a little bit of stabilization and consolidation to have the people like us that really have a passion for this industry. Because if we can just take even half of what a state like Washington has done and take another 10%, the black market estimate in Massachusetts is probably about $3 billion still. So there's certainly a lot of demand still out there. We just got to find a way to go get it.
Anybody have any questions? No? Yeah. Let me start over here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate this. Flower Expo has been pretty dope so far. We're in the culinary space, right? We do the sauces, seasoning, hot sauce, barbecue sauce. Our company is Aroma Culinary, and we're looking to break into the New England market. What do you see as the projection for the sauces here? You know what I mean? I know gummies are starting to really get some traction, but what do you see for condiments?
So I love niche products. I love it for lots of reasons. It's awesome content. It's something something new to talk about. And it provides a different consumption model, right? But also keep in mind, new consumption models are really hard. So the key I think the desire is there. I think the interest is definitely there. But the key for you, in my opinion, is making sure that every store you're in is well armed with really thoughtful education, with thoughtful ways to present it, and you work through with each store and make sure pop-ups, that kind of stuff, that they're touching on those key differentiation of, oh, you're going to Tanglewood this weekend? Are you going to bring a picnic? You should bring these little sauces, and how awesome would that be? But just know that it takes a minute for consumers to adopt a new method of consuming. There's a trust factor that has to come. So the better you can get those guides, bud tenders, whatever you guys call your individual retail staff, make sure that they are so confident about the product and telling amazing stories about it. I think that that's the key. And I would say that's the key with any product and any retail, by the way. It's people buy because of why, period. And if you resonate with why, you will find that consumer that supports your why. We're a craft grow. We support social equity. Greg Chemdog Krasnowski is our director of cultivation. He is the poster child in Massachusetts for flipping social equity. Lost everything, right? 8 years, horrible. But he's now really proud to be growing products, and that story resonates. It resonates with the gray market. It resonates with OGs who've been smoking chem weed forever, and that works for us. Also, women-led, women-owned, that works for us. So I feel like you have to find your differentiation, and it can't just be quality, by the way. Quality is, and for a brand new person, I don't even know if they know what quality is, right? So the key is, what is the story? Why do you want consumers to buy it? And make sure you tell that story. And I love that you're doing that, and congratulations, and I really wish you well, by the way.
So I know many of you are founders or co-founders, but assume you have other investors. And with these challenges, how have you found success managing expectations with the investors that maybe aren't in the business, as you mentioned, Angela, and maybe have to change their expectations in many ways, initial expectations, payback periods. We're finding that awfully difficult. So I'm just curious if you have experience there.
So investors are my most favorite thing to talk about. Never. So much so that I'll tell you what my partner Eric and I did this past year, well, a year ago, January. We were so tired of investor conversations that we did a leveraged buyout. Buy. I'll talk to the bank. I don't want to talk to you. I'll talk to the bank all day. They're awesome. So for me, the investor part's really hard. It starts at the beginning with under promise, over deliver. And I think most people do not thoughtfully address 280E in your deck. So you've overpromised. They're seeing big numbers, and they just want their money back. And they want it. And most of us probably who got in at the time that we got in, they want it back in 2 years. I mean, give me a break. So I feel like that's the first thing. Make sure they really understand 280E, and make sure that every line on your flippin' P&L is so defensible. I think solid finance, making sure you have an amazing finance story to tell, and I would even offer that you get audited financials. I think that goes a long way with soothing that investor thing. Give them something to hold on to. But right now, it's really hard to even talk to investors about paying them back. I mean, I can tell you our door pulls are way up. We're getting more door pulls, but our tickets are way down. And it's just really challenging. And that's what's good about that is that the 4 investors I have left in my company are in the business, so they understand the pain of 280E. And I think ultimately what we all need to get our arms around is that 280E goes away, and this is a completely different story. We'll have different challenges, but the cash flow story changes.
I think it ultimately starts at the very beginning on making the decision of who your investors are. I understand that most people took whatever they could get and they promised whatever they could in order to get those funds back in the day. I think the only thing at this point in time that we strive to show our investors is that we're good operators, that we do care about every line on the P&L, that we are being innovative to survive during these tough times. I think communicating not just on a quarterly basis, but like weekly basis, like this happened, this did, so nothing comes as a surprise. I think the most important thing is to show that you're a good ethical entrepreneur right now and that you're doing everything to fight for the money that these people invested in you. I think the second piece is showing them where the growth is coming from. I think a lot of people got in and priced and valued themselves out of their positions. I would say something I was not happy with early on was bringing in capital at a low valuation when everyone around us was bringing it in at a high valuation. Today, we look successful because of that. So I think that's a really important piece as the entrepreneur, to not try to make it big right away. Slow, steady growth is really important, but showcasing that there's still growth and opportunity ahead and being a good operator, I think right now is the best possible scenario to be in. But I think a lot of operators in this space are starting to get a little stale. They don't know which direction they want to go into. Their grows aren't getting better. Their retails are not growing. And so, this is the time for an operator to showcase what they can do when times are tough. Because it's officially competitive, right? I'm not finding customers falling from the sky. I have to go take them from somebody else, and that's the reality. And so I think investors are just right now preying on good operators, and I think if there is capital to be raised, it's only going to be going to those with proven track records.
Anybody else with a question?
Do we have any more questions? All right, if that's all, I want to thank you guys again for coming. Can we give a big round of applause for everybody?